Welcome to Telltale Books. This is number 2 in my Isaac Asimov series, his second published story called The Weapon Too Dreadful to Use. The Weapon Too Dreadful to Use was published in the May 1939 issue of Amazing Stories. So he still hadn't gotten John Campbell to publish one of his stories at this time. But it's only his second. But it's Campbell's loss, as you'll find out as I talk about this story further. The basic synopsis, and gotta pardon the science, didn't know much about Venus way back in 1939. We thought, even at that time, that it could be possible for there to be Venusian intelligent beings if we go there. So the story has Earthmen colonizing Venus, kind of putting the Venusians into almost complete slavery. They're delegated to being servants in the Earth cities that are established. Now, Venusians don't like this, and they want to do something about it. They want their freedom. They want their planet back. Carl is an Earthman who is friends with a Venusian named Antil. And Antil takes Carl off into the wilderness on Venus, where Antil had found a lost city, a city in ruins from the Venusians' distant past. When they go there, Carl stumbles upon this hidden room. And in this hidden room there are 5 vials and this interesting glass tablet that explains what those vials are all about. Turns out they are an ultimate weapon that is capable of severing mind from brain, leaving a person unable to function in any way. And this device can instantly be adjusted to cover great distances. They could render all of Earth idiots in a second with this weapon. And so, of course, because they want their freedom, because they don't want to be slaves, because they don't want to be treated as second-class citizens, and because they want to have their planet, they put an ultimatum to Earth. Give us our freedom, give us equal status, or we will wipe you out. And they can do it. And they prove they can do it. This is an amazing story. That's the wrong word to use. It's an amazing story. Of course it's an amazing story. No, it's a great story. It's a top tale. It definitely is a top tale because the subject, even today, is so relevant to our society in the need to stop treating people, stop treating human beings like they are beneath us, stop putting down whole races of people, stop victimizing and terrorizing those races of people, and start treating them like equals. Because it's in, at least here in the United States, it's in our Constitution that we are all created equal under the law. And so we should not be treating anybody as second-class citizens or denying anybody anything. So in this day and age, when so many groups are struggling against prejudice and hatred, this story is 100% relevant to what we are experiencing. And it points out one of the strengths of science fiction, that science fiction can take a situation on another world in the far future and have it mirror what's going on in our society today. H.G. Wells did this sort of thing with the War of the Worlds. He mirrored what was going on with the colonialism of Europe down in Africa, with colonial takeover of the earth by Martians. By coming up with this totally fantastic scenario, he illustrates exactly what is wrong with what Europeans were doing in Africa in the late 1800s. This story does the same thing. How we have, gone in. Here in the U.S., we treated the Indians this way. In Africa, we treated Africans that way. We went in and thought it was our right to just go in and take over and treat the native citizens of those places as something to be used and enslaved and forced into accepting us as their superiors. We've done that a lot. And we continue to put down people who are not of our race. And that's something that we need to grow up and stop doing that. And it is just super cool that Isaac Asimov wrote that story in 1939. I'm not doing the story justice in the way I'm describing it. It is a brilliant story. You really got to read it. It's an excellent story. Pretty good characterization, well written, extremely relevant topic, a lot of imagination. Of course, there isn't anybody living on Venus. You can't live on Venus. It's not possible. It's just way too hot, way too stormy, way too chaotic. So advancing science has rendered this story to the realm of pure fantasy, but still, it doesn't matter. Fantasy, science fiction, whatever you want to call it, however you want to consider it, it's worth a read because it is such a relevant topic. And I think a better story by Asimov than even Nightfall. I really do. I think this is a much stronger story. So this one gets top tail status for certain. And I recommend it. And I think you should track it down and read it. Now, I used to have this story in the early Asimov. I had paperback versions of... It was split into 3 volumes, or 2 volumes. It was split into 2 volumes way back in the 1970s for paperback. I no longer have those, so I have nothing to hold up. But I am looking, and I read this story in a PDF of the May 1939 Amazing, which I found online for free. I'm looking to get a hold of a copy of the hardcover of the early Asimov. Haven't found one that I'm happy with yet. So, got no book to hold up for this video, but excellent story. Asimov's third story, this was Asimov's second story. Asimov's third story I've already covered. That's the story Trends that was published in the July 1939 issue of Astounding. Already did a video on that. I consider that one to definitely be a top tale. So Asimov's next story wasn't published until February of 1940 in Astonishing magazine. It's called Half-Breed, and it's part of a series. This is the first of a 2-story series, both just novelettes. but it is a little bit of a series. There's Half-Breed and there's Half-Breeds on Venus. You had a thing for Venus, I don't know. So that will be my next, Half-Breed will be my next Asimov video, coming soon. Probably in June. Leave comments, of course, if you've read The Weapon Too Dreadful to Use, or just want to say whatever, say hi. Go ahead and leave those comments, and I will respond with something, at least hi back. And like and subscribe to us, and come on back for more of these videos. And I'll see you in the next one.